Hi guys, hope you're doing well. Welcome to another beer review, and yeah, I'm in a good mood because I'm awaiting uh, my first wage from my new job in about an hour once it hits midnight, and I also got my first like on Tinder, which I'm solely doing as a social experiment. I can assure you. It's going to take a hell of a lot for me to rely on my future with something like Tinder. No offense to those who have used it, and it has been a success, but I was just purely doing it out of science to see how long it would take for me to get someone to actually like. And let's say I feel good that someone did, but when I discovered who it was like, yeah, well, thanks, but no thanks. And I'm in no position to, make that statement. But yeah, I shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth. No pun intended. No, seriously, no pun intended. Just not my type, essentially. She could have been as sweet as honey. Bit of a pun towards the beer. But yeah, we shall never know. I just find the whole world fascinating. I've found so many tropes looking through something like Tinder, and so many things that, and I'm sure if you were to look at the guys who use Tinder, then you'd find like trends and tropes and really awful things. But there are some things that girls do on that app that I'm like, who is that appealing to? Like stood there with like a shirt, like a t-shirt, jacket, jeans, like fully clothed, but slightly lifting your t-shirt up to reveal your belly button. It's like, oh wow, she's got a belly button. Oh, that's absolutely amazing. I've been wanting a woman with a belly button for years. Yeah, and then you've got all these shitty filters that, yeah, it's just like, girls, just don't. Just don't. But anyway, who am I to judge? Because I actually went through the process of downloading the app, not once, but this is the third time that I've gone through, and it's providing me with a little bit of entertainment, but it's also making me physically and mentally ill. And yeah, so we shall see how far the social experiment can go. And I'm sure the more it progresses, the more I will end up drinking. So today, after that long-winded and unnecessary introduction, what's new? Let's have a look at a beer that was part of the Beer52 box for February, I think it was, and it was the Irish box. And this was gifted to me by my good friend Craig over at Camp Beer Reviews, who sent a box my way because he got a free box, and he asked if I was interested in it. And I was, yeah, because at the time I couldn't really afford like the subscription boxes. I was taking a break from the McKellar box that I do as well, but that could change now. And I think the next month's box is going to be all about hops, so I'm looking forward to that one. But yeah, anyway, so the Irish theme, I've had a few of them. I've reviewed a couple of them, but some of them I've just drank because I want to get into the sort of like habit of actually not knocking my glasses off, trying to move my fringe over, but trying to get in the habit of actually just drinking beers and enjoying them and not having to review them. Especially with like the demonetization policy from YouTube. I always thought like, oh, I'll do a review of it. Gives a little bit of extra value to the beer and on the channel, but monetization on YouTube, it's like, who the fuck cares really? If that's stopping you from producing content on YouTube, that's exactly why they brought it in, and more power to them. I'm sorry to people who have suffered because of the monetization changes on YouTube, but seriously, fuck you, and don't rely on a irrelevant social media platform which is relevant 1 minute, a little niche is relevant that minute, but the next thing just completely irrelevant. So I really have no sympathy for small channels who are now upset because it's like more fool you, essentially. And I hope I've not offended any of my subscribers by saying that, but at the same time, why would I say it if I didn't believe in it? Anyway, this has taken a very weird turn, this beer review. So let's just get on with it. So today, this is one that was actually brewed by Beer52 in a collaboration with a brewery over in Belgium, which I think is who they've been brewing with for a while now. I'm not sure of the brewery's name. If I find it out, I'm going to credit them down below. But this is the Irish Wild Honey Saison. So this is clocked in at 4% ABV in a 330ml stubby sort of Duvel type bottle. I do like these like continental sort of styles. And brewed with incredibly complex Irish wild honey from Healys honey, harvested by beekeepers in Ballincollig, County Cork. So everybody involved in the process of this beer should be included in the description box down below, so you can check them out. And especially the artist David McMillan, who created the artwork for this, which it's looking a little bit dark because of the lighting in here, because the light over there is facing away from me, because I forgot to put it towards me when I did the review. So I'm not really giving the beer any justice, but the thumbnail of this video should be good enough. But yeah, lovely hand-drawn, almost like a crayon style look to it, or pastel I should say, not crayon, it's not a child's drawing. And the lovely orange cap. So this was brewed on the 16th of the 1st 2018, or bottled on the 16th of the 1st 2018, and best before is 16th of the 1st 2019, so it's got a year's shelf life on it. So yeah, not the biggest Saison fan, as some of you may know, although those sort of like farmhouse bready style beers, especially from Belgium. I do appreciate Belgian brewing. I appreciate brewing culture in general. It's a fascinating thing for me. I don't care if it's micro, macro, or like historical, or the newest thing. I'm so fascinated by the process, and I love Belgian brewing culture. It's just not a style or tradition that I'm the biggest fan of because of some flavours that are in there. But yeah, so this is interesting to see what the honey would add to the Saison itself. So using my Bière de Noël glass. It's not Christmas, but it just seemed to make sense to have a glass with French on it, even though this beer is technically brewed in Belgium. Anyway, yeah, it's the Clueless Drinkers channel is a mess. You guys know that by now. And long may it continue. So, beer in a glass then, and yeah, it's probably because it's called the Honey Saison, but you get that sort of like honey look to it. It reminds you of sort of like a lemon cough medicine almost. Or like the sachets of like Lemsip, and then you dissolve them in water. But yeah, it's definitely got that slight honey tone to it. On cloudy lemonade as well. A little bit of haze in there, but I'd imagine that the beer would get a little bit more hazy once the stuff at the bottom of the bottle goes in there. But you could just about see through it. Maybe some tiny little flecks here and there, but not too much. Doesn't look too aggressive in terms of carbonation. So, beer poured with not even a finger's worth of head, it's just a lining at this point. So let's see if we can generate some and give it a sniff at the same time. That's what she said. That's what she could have said on Tinder, but I won't find out now, will I? Anyway, yeah, just a white head pretty much. So, give it another little swirl, clearly professional, and give it a sniff. I'm getting a lot of lemon on this. Like big hits of a citrus. And then you get that honey character coming through. Yeah, it's got that sort of like Locket, Lemsip kind of character to it. Because honey and lemon is a great combination. When I had a cold recently, I was having the Lemsip in the bottle with honey. And that was like, even though it was like very syrupy and stuff, I was like, I could literally drink this. I could actually drink this properly. I mean, it's got those sort of characters, but it isn't medicinal, if that makes sense. But you definitely get the honey in there. It's got like a bit of a spiciness, which I'm attributing to the yeast and the style itself. Not overly bready. And not that sort of like overbrewed herbal tea character that I tend to find a lot in both the aroma and the taste of a lot of Belgian beers. But yeah, it's a lovely rounded smelling beer. Not too potent, but not too reserved. And that honey and lemon character are just blending well so together. Blending so well together. Off to a good start. Let's give it a taste. Cheers. I'm almost detected a slight bit of like an American hop character as well. Just thought I'd mention that. Anyway, cheers, guys. There's that overbrewed tea character that I usually get. Yeah, it's not a bad tasting beer by any stretch, but it's just got those... The Saisons, they're just not my thing. I just don't think they're fundamentally my things. Like wit beers, not a big fan of. Wheat beers, as you know, not a big fan of. Any beers that are overtly bready can get a little bit too yeasty for me, and this does have that. You do get that lemon character more on the intake, and a very subtle sweetness. But if you didn't know that there was honey in there, you might not really be able to detect it, to be honest. It's very light, easy drinkable. Doesn't finish too heavy like most Belgian beers tend to. For me personally, that could just be my wonderful body and the system within it. But yeah, it's an inoffensive, herbal, slightly citrusy, bready Saison at the end of the day. And I think the more I'm drinking it, the more that honey is coming through. But I don't think it's really shining, which is a real shame because I do love honey. I'm a big fan of honey. Just not that like honey that costs like £8 to £9 for a tiny little jar. It's like, it's fucking honey. The stuff you get in a squeezy bottle is honey. Obviously, people would disagree, and you put them side by side, you tell the difference, but it's honey. And I'll have to wrap this up because I've got that dreaded knock. But yeah, there's really not much to say about this beer. It's slightly more cloudy now. One last taste and we'll give it a rating. It's a little bit sharper when it's all in there, and that citrus character shines a bit more. But the aftertaste is overbrewed herbal tea, which I'm not the biggest fan of, and it does slightly linger. But for a style that I'm not the biggest fan of, I think that's a really nice interpretation of it. It's not what I was expecting. I was expecting more of a decadent honey character, but then that could have just made it a little bit too heavy, maybe a little bit too sickly sweet, and that sweetness would be a little bit out of place. But yeah, it's an inoffensive Saison by all accounts. Brewed solidly enough, but yeah, it's not really doing too much for me, I'm afraid. So in terms of rating then, on Beer52's Irish Wild Honey Saison, I'm going to give that a 6.5 out of 10. Don't think I'd rush out to try it again. Maybe if they tweak the recipe, put a bit more honey in there, I would probably give it a go. I'd be interested to see that honey used in different beers, like maybe like a brown ale or as part of like an imperial stout. I think, well, I'd have to try the honey on its own, which I'd love to. I'd love to get my hands on it. I'd always like to try the more artisanal products out there. But yeah, it's a beer and whole, perfectly drinkable, sessionable. You could have a couple in one sitting. Doesn't get too heavy, which is good. And yeah, just maybe a tiny bit more honey and maybe a bit more spice to go along with that. I think that would be a really nice juxtaposition. But as it is, not too bad. But I have had much better, but I have had much, much worse. Yeah, one moment, sorry. So yeah, if you've tried this beer, then let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. If you've tried anything from Beer52 that they've brewed, give me thoughts and recommendations. If you've actually had the honey used in this beer, let me know what you thought of it. Check out Beer52. Check out everybody involved in the process of this beer. If anybody else has reviewed it on YouTube, their links are down below. Check out Craig. Massive shout out to him because this box wouldn't have been possible if not for him. Check out my Beer52 playlist. Check out my Saison playlist. If you want to get yourselves a nice little discount on Beer52, put that down. I'll put that down below as well. And yeah, a good example of an Irish beer. I'm enjoying the Irish craft beers. I'd like to try a lot more, and I'd happily try more beers that Beer52 have been involved in, because I think it's quite an interesting little concept. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'm off now to scroll through Tinder for another 2 hours and hate myself even more than I do. Thank you for watching, and I shall hopefully see you all later. Cheers.